All right, all right, all
Hey,
right.
my friends.
Too
How
long.
are you guys doing?
Great.
Good. Since we were on last with this, Carrie and I met in person.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
She came
awesome.
to Tennessee.
Came to Tennessee, yes, and Carrie came to our Healing Humanity meetup, and I was telling her that I was so excited. Like I was so excited to see her because it's like, and I was excited to see everybody that I know online, but like we've been like a year and a half at least doing the book club and the keto study club, and it's like, oh my gosh, I was super excited. So
I know, me too.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
Kim,
awesome.
we've all got to get together so I can meet you.
I know. That's so awesome. I'm glad you guys got to meet.
And
I love
when
the pictures.
when you get to meet me, I'll bring you some of my friend's homemade soap. She makes
okay.
tallow and lard soap that the
it's
ingredients
nice.
are super clean.
I love some tallow soap.
She brought me two, and they're the little molds. They're circles and they're pretty. They've got the design and stuff. And it works. It's really nice, and it lathers up really nice. Yeah, and
I enjoyed the pictures, guys.
we took some pictures,
Mm-hmm.
and so I know you've been sick. So
well, I mean, it's been like I feel like it's been like a month now. It's been at least 3 weeks. I had, the virus that shall not be named. For the first time I've ever had it. 5 years I made it.
Wow.
Not getting it. So knock on wood, I hope I don't get it again ever.
Yeah.
Maybe you're immune now, hopefully.
It helped it helped. It messed with my hearing. And I can't hear anything anymore. I mean, when people talk to me at work, I have to look at them and I'm like, what?
Probably the congestion. Were you really congested?
I guess it's probably maybe my ears are still stopped up or something. I don't know. I hope it comes back because if not, I'm like, I'm going to need some hearing aids.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
And then next month I will be 50. I'll have my 50th birthday. So I'm like, I can't even imagine making it to 50. I mean, not that I thought I was not going to make it to 50. It's just, it's just like, I never thought of myself being 50.
Yeah. So when I turned 50, my mother called me and she said, well, how does it feel to be half a century old? And I was like, oh my God, Mom. Really? I was like, thanks a lot. But that's typical of my mother. She, kind of had that kind of humor.
My mom will probably do the same, honestly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's like, wow. I mean, I'm just grateful that I made it to 50 and and I really
happy birthday, old lady. Love it.
Hey, literally above ground and below it.
My birthday was the 11th, so it was 2 days before our meetup. I turned 57.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. So
my birthday was the 1st of March.
Happy birthday.
So I turned 59.
59. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, I'm knocking at the door of the big 6.
I don't think any of us look our age.
No.
The big 60, my Lord.
That's awesome. No. Well, it's really funny because we're all to celebrate. Yes. I think it's funny because I have I use my smart scale, which I can call stupid because it doesn't know my age. Oh, thank you, Mike. You're too kind. But every year, so I started using it when I was 55, and it said my metabolic age was 62. And every birthday, it bumps it up one.
Oh, man.
Rude.
It's rude. I know, because I haven't gotten the numbers down enough into enough of the metrics into the range where they're supposed to be yet. Like the ranges are, I started out so far and I'm getting there. Like I'm getting closer, but I'm not there yet. And I know it's not going to move. So of course on April 11th, it says I'm 64.
Yeah.
7 years.
Maybe you should start over.
Seriously. Yeah, it's time to break that scale. Bury in a landfill.
Get another one.
Seriously, it's like me against the scale.
If it's intelligent, if it's any type of intelligent technology, you can just threaten it, and then if that doesn't work, then pitch it.
It doesn't work. It doesn't have emotions. It's like, hey, you got to get your metrics where they need to be, and then I'll change. There's no negotiating, I'm sure. So I just, it's seriously, it's a challenge now. So I just have to get the metrics where they need to be. Yes. Oh, we do. Well, happy birthday. I won't ask how old, but happy birthday, April 11th. Yes. And my daughter's birthday is Friday, on the 25th. She's turning 29. She's the youngest of our three. And we're going to go to Fogo de Chao.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah, and have a nice time. And then Saturday, my daughter, she loves to milk it for her birthday. And,
me too.
Yeah, I do too.
4/11/63. Okay, so you're 5 years older than me. Awesome. So we're going to every April up here in the Pacific Northwest is the tulip season, and there's these beautiful tulip fields. And so we're going to go to the tulip fields on Saturday, and it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And then you can buy a bunch of bulbs, and you can buy tulip plants and everything, and come plant them back in your yard. And then I think we're going up to Canada on Sunday. So
nice.
Yeah. I got mom beat by 4 months. Okay. So we're the youngins here. Awesome. Good. Well, I'm so excited that we finally get to be back and do this again. And so for anybody who's brand new, who doesn't know what we're doing, we're going through this book. It is a textbook, and so this is different than a book club. So we don't read an advance and then talk. We're actually reading this together and reviewing as we go. And so if you're a science nerd, this may be right up your alley. If you just want to go through the book and don't want to read it yourself and want to listen to us read it, this might be right up your alley. If you are an absolute masochist, this might be right up your alley.
Or if you just don't want to pay the money for this textbook, because it's textbook prices.
This is true. Yes.
But you want the information.
This is a medical textbook. And the fun of it is that you get to watch us like scratch our heads and try to figure out
to pronounce these words
and say things that we will later think is kind of stupid.
Yeah. And try to remember what all the acronyms mean.
Oh God, I've got a few written down, but I've got a little bit of a cheat sheet, but there's a lot that I don't have written down.
We'll try to be really, really helpful to you, Kim, because I know you have a lingering cough.
Yeah, it's sometimes more pronounced than others, or I don't know. It's just I've been sucking on cough drops ever since then, and my voice is still kind of hoarse.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm so thankful that I have ivermectin. During our whole trip to Tennessee, my husband, my daughter, and my son-in-law they all had colds. They didn't take any tests. I don't know what they had, but all three of them were sick. And I was taking ivermectin every day. I did not get it. I was around them the whole time, and I didn't get it. And
you were right. You can get it I don't know where I was. I mean, I guess I didn't even think about trying to buy anything, during that time. But Tennessee, like early, like in 21, I think it was the early part of 21, if I remember correctly, because I looked it up, and sure enough, they had passed a law saying that you could get it here. Like you could just go to the pharmacy and get it. And I was like, wow. Of course, people were going to Tractor Supply and getting it.
Yeah, the pharmacy that was advertising it a lot when I was there in Nashville, I couldn't catch them open. But fortunately, the Idaho just made it legal. And that's just my next door neighbor, and my brother and sister-in-law live there. So
Oh,
I
that's
will have to
good.
check the pricing because I've been getting it from India, and it's pretty cheap there. Let's see, Ellen. Hi, Ellen. Carrie, now I know where I seen you. Yes. Ellen was attending us too. Yes, I've seen your channel, but didn't make the connection that you're part of the study club. I got to hug you in Yuma, Lindsay. Yes,
Yes.
that was awesome. Oh yes, and Mike, another reason to move to Tennessee or Idaho now. Yay!
That's true. That's true. Idaho is.
Yeah.
But
So,
y'all are welcome to come to Tennessee, though. This is a great place to live.
now I think we caught Tennessee at the perfect time of year. Like we missed the tornadoes that came through like 2 days before we flew in.
Yeah, we do have those.
And it was beautiful weather. We had one day that was pretty kind of warm, but it was gorgeous weather. And yeah, we got to see all the sites. I mean, most of the sites that we wanted to see. And I got to go to the Grand Ole Opry on my birthday.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool.
Who was there?
It was a lot of people I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
The only people they were all good. The only people I did know were the Isaacs, which is a gospel group quartet from that they sing with the Gaithers a lot, and they're really good. They were kind of the main. I think they were the ones right in the middle. They got the most songs. Yeah, and so but it was just awesome. It was just fun, and it was a great experience.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So okay, so we left off on 115 in case Dr. Nelson decides to join us. 115, the section on metabolic syndrome.
Yep.
So I guess I can start reading.
Okay.
So this is written by somebody called Hasina KG, who I do not know. Do you guys know who that is?
Who that is either.
No. Okay. So this is it. First of all, the introduction is section 3.3.1. It is well documented that metabolic syndrome is a collection of cardiometabolic risk factors. It is important to know what risk a diagnosis of metabolic syndrome confers. Many studies have investigated and identified metabolic syndrome as an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease, coronary artery disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Individuals with metabolic syndrome have been shown to have an increased incidence of cardiovascular disease and stroke. In addition, all-cause mortality and cardiovascular mortality is also increased in individuals with metabolic syndrome, with women having a higher risk compared to men. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
It is interesting. I thought it was pretty much even.
Yeah, well, and often too, when you think about cardiovascular risk, you tend to think of men more than women because that's just kind of like the widowmaker heart attack.
Well, that's true. Like men actually, I think, die more often from it. Maybe from the cardiovascular disease, but then metabolic syndrome, of course, is lots of stuff.
Yeah,
because it's a whole systemic thing.
Yeah, but that's interesting. So individuals with metabolic syndrome have also been shown to have an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Due to metabolic syndrome increasing the risk for these, the biggest chronic diseases of our time, identifying and targeting the risk factors for metabolic syndrome is essential. So the concept of metabolic syndrome was first described by Swedish physician Kylan over 80 years ago. Really?
I didn't know that.
Okay. As a cluster of hypertension, hyperglycemia, and gout. Well, that's what's different now. They don't include gout in it now. Okay. So vague.
Well, they should.
You'd think because it is an indication of a problem.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that got dropped, and then they, like to push that. Oh, gout, it's for meat. It's for meat.
Right. And you'd think that if it was an inflammatory issue that was really common and went with all these symptoms, you'd think that they would include it. But that's really interesting. They did drop it.
Yeah.
Okay. So in 1947, Vague, which must be someone's name because it's capitalized, Vague recognized upper abdominal adiposity to be associated with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Later, Avogadro et al. Described a syndrome of hyperglycemia, hypertension, and obesity. However, most people are reminded of the famous Banting lecture of 1988, where Gerald Reaven drew attention to hyperinsulinemia. He described a syndrome comprising a constellation of cardiovascular risk factors characterized by hyperinsulinemia, glucose intolerance, dyslipidemia, and hypertension. These symptoms, which could all be present in a single individual, is now widely referred to as metabolic syndrome. So metabolic syndrome is not a disease per se, but a constellation of risk factors for atherosclerotic disease and type 2 diabetes. It is also known as Syndrome X, insulin resistance syndrome, cardiometabolic syndrome, dysmetabolic syndrome, and the deadly quartet syndrome. I've never heard of it called.
I haven't heard that term.
I have not heard that. Interesting. So the constellation includes glucose intolerance. So parentheses, type 2 diabetes, impaired fasting glucose or impaired glucose intolerance, insulin resistance, central obesity, dyslipidemia, and hypertension, all well-documented risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Okay, so I'll maybe read the next part here. So definitions. Several definitions have been put forward in an attempt to describe the diagnosis from various expert perspectives. A consensus definition has been proposed by the International Diabetes Federation as a result of a consensus workshop in 2004. And it mentions table 3.1, which I do have here.
Oh, okay. Nice. Thank you, Lynn.
Yes, it's just done on my camera and then in PowerPoint, so it's not the greatest quality, but you can at least see what we're looking at here.
Looks good.
So this is one of the better ones. So some of the others are a little iffy and wonky. Okay, so the 3 point, so that's the table here. So maybe we should look at this table because this is where it's referenced. So this is a summary of various diagnostic criteria for metabolic syndrome. And it looks like, I don't know if we need to read through all of them, but it looks like there's 4 different organizations here. And each of them have their own separate criteria. Yeah. So you've got the International Diabetes Federation, which, okay, so let's go through these. So central obesity, defined as waist circumference with ethnicity-specific values, plus any 2 of the following. So raised triglycerides over 150 milligrams per deciliter, or 1.7 millimoles per liter, or specific treatment for this lipid abnormality. So I guess if you're on treatment for increased triglycerides, that counts. Reduced HDL less than 50 milligrams per deciliter, or 1.3 millimoles per liter, or specific treatment for this lipid. My husband's just showing me he got 100% on his last test. Sorry, he just stuck his phone in front of my face.
Oh, wonderful. Congratulations.
He's in his PhD program and he is just rocking it. Like,
yes.
Oh yeah. This is the hardest term he's in. It's all this really advanced statistics stuff that has to do with research, and he's just 100% on everything.
Awesome.
Yes.
Congrats.
Yes. So I'm very proud of him. Okay, so the lipid part, they're only looking at triglycerides and HDL, which is interesting because all the doctors are so focused on LDL. Raised blood pressure. So if your blood pressure is greater than 130/85, or if you're on treatment because it's been high, raised fasting plasma glucose greater than 100 millimoles per deciliter, or 5.6 milligrams per deciliter, or 5.6 millimoles, or if you've been previously diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So that's kind of is that kind of what you guys have heard is kind of the diagnostic criteria? I mean, it looks like all 4 of these places pretty much agree, except for the World Health Organization. Oh, and then the National Cholesterol Education Program, the third column actually says waist circumference greater than 88 centimeters.
Is it triglycerides, HDL, blood pressure, fasting glucose? Yeah, it looks like they're pretty consistent.
Yeah, and then the World Health Organization defines metabolic syndrome as the presence of insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, mellitus, or impaired fasting glucose or impaired glucose. So it really doesn't. It really is just it doesn't have any of these other factors in it, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, presence, and then they don't define insulin resistance.
No, they don't. That's a really, like, of course, but
that's a very vague, because
very vague.
Because there are formulas out there. I think the main one is like the one that well, his mind just, I wanted to say Dr. Ovadia, which he does have a formula, but he wasn't who I was thinking of. Oh man, I love watching his metabolic series. Bickman. Yes. Yeah. Like his is very specific of what it is.
Yeah, I mean the fact that the World Health Organization is so vague in their definition, I don't know why I should be surprised. It's the World Health Organization, but interesting. Okay,
it is interesting.
Yeah. So let me see. We got a few comments I want to get caught up on. Let's see. Driving through Tennessee from North Carolina is so beautiful. It makes me want to go back and spend time. Awesome. Yes. My vote for dudes. Okay, was dudes. Yeah, about the heart. Yeah, being more common. With
I was like, what are we voting for?
Why is he voting for dudes?
Yes. So deadly corruption.
I was laughing. I started laughing about that, and I'm like, I just realized nobody else could see the comment.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. Thank you, Mike. Always have comment for. Yeah. Nice job, Mr. Lib. Who's Mr. Lib?
I think it's Mr. Lynn for
Mr.
his.
Lynn. Mr. Lynn. Oh, yes, my husband. Yes, thank you. So I hate to admit this, but I probably have 3 out of 4, although my glucose is barely over 100 working on it, but can't seem to make much headway so far. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Are you eating strict carnivore, Mike, or are you doing keto, or what are you doing? I know even with carnivore, like Kim had trouble. You had issues.
Oh yeah, my sugar was high, and
my glucose went up too.
I mean, it wasn't high. Like it wasn't high. It was just It was just like in the morning I would test it, and instead of being like 80s where I felt like it should be for somebody who didn't eat any carbs, it would be 100 to 115 or something. But I also heard that was, we don't resolve insulin resistance just because we start eating a certain way. It takes a lot of time. And like, I think I believe it was from Ben Bickman, but I could be mistaken, that it can take like over a year even to really get that insulin resistance under control, because, our bodies, it's not just a matter of what we're putting into it. It's like our body doesn't deal with it properly,
Right.
So,
and there's cortisol, there's sleep.
Yeah. There's so many factors.
I think I wouldn't be surprised if it could take a lot longer, because think about how long you have to be insulin resistant before you even become pre-diabetic officially. Like 15 years.
And then also on top of all of it, some of us are at an age where our hormones are not exactly what they're supposed to be, right?
Or they don't even have them anymore.
Yes. So I think that was my problem. It was all right at a time where I was going into that. And then I had the insulin resistance on top of it. It's like your body, your body's just broken. I mean, not irreversibly broken, but part of the way your body is supposed to function is broken.
We
and
have
you have to really work hard to get that back on track. And it's difficult.
And Dr. Berry does say, it takes years to get to that point. So we live in this microwave society where we think, okay, I've been carnivore for a month now, so I should be fixed.
Right.
I mean, we all do it. Works. We expect miracles. We expect, I've been good. What's,
Yeah.
And you just have to be patient. And I'm talking to myself as well as anybody else out there.
Yeah. And depending on how long it's been with not getting the proper nutrition, it's definitely important to be patient, because I know, and your childhood too. Like, they talk about what do you eat? What was your foundation as a child? And I know that, I wasn't breastfed. I did. My mom did have a natural birth. She didn't have
it wasn't like in vogue back then. It was kind of like, burn your bras, don't breastfeed your babies.
And my mom, she went to work fairly soon after she had me. And then by the time like a year later, she decided she made a mistake and wanted to be home with me. But by then I had been bottle fed for, too late. But it was also, like I said, I was raised on Crisco, corn oil.
Yeah. And, our parents did what the best advice was back then. That was what was told to them was the proper thing to do. They were trying to do the right thing, just like we are.
They didn't know. So Mike says ketovore, but a few days drinking some beers here and there. Yeah, that might be a factor.
That'll do her.
That'll do it. Yeah. Just join the gym. Good. So yeah. So maybe do a trial and see how things go with dropping the beers and see if that makes a difference. And if that helps, that might be the last thing.
If you're really wanting to do alcohol, I've got like an echo. Do y'all hear that?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't know why I'm hearing that. Anyway, if you're might be. If you're really wanting to still do alcohol, why not do something that's no carb, like I used to, when I would go out with my friends, I would just do a little bit of, vodka and maybe even diet cranberry or something that's, that's a little more benign than beer. Beer is not very forgiving.
Yeah. And not that alcohol is good. It's toxic to your liver, but if you're going to do it, then there's definitely some other options.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. You want to pick up on the next section, 3?
I'll pick up. Okay, so 3.3.1.2, epidemiology. As the global prevalence of metabolic syndrome continues to increase at alarming rates in line with obesity and type 2 diabetes, prevalence is seen to be rising in both urban populations and developing countries, where previously metabolic syndrome was thought to be an urban issue. Metabolic syndrome continues to be a burgeoning problem worldwide. And that's something. Matter of fact, I've heard some other doctors say, and they may get into this, that like places like India even have it worse than we do. And we're just led to believe we're the worst in the United States.
Yeah, because we have the ability to get the biggest.
Yeah.
They don't really, a lot of their genetics don't allow them to get as large as we can before they do develop diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, puppy dog.
He was trying to get my husband's attention, and he started sneezes. Did you guys hear him? He was sneezing.
My dog does that when she's like trying to communicate with you. She'll do that little fake sneeze.
Oh, looky there.
Yes, Max, our little 16-year-old that keeps making us think like he's gonna die, and then he doesn't. So.
In the United States, 38% of the population met the criteria for metabolic syndrome in 2017 through 2018. There is a similar prevalence in European adults as well as in Latin America. East Asian countries, including China, Japan, and Korea, are also seeing an increased number of cases with prevalence in East Asia in 2007, ranging from 8 to 13% in men and from 2 to 18% in women, depending on diagnostic criteria used, and maybe as high as 30%. In sub-Saharan Africa, metabolic syndrome ranges from 10% to 34.6% of the population, depending on region and diagnostic criteria, with the highest prevalence in South Africa. Metabolic syndrome prevalence increases with age, and 40% of people over the age of 60 have a metabolic syndrome diagnosis. It is disturbing to note that this diagnosis is increasingly prevalent in children and adolescents, corresponding with the rising obesity trend seen in this pediatric population. Prevalence in men, 24%, and women, 23%, is similar when adjusted for age, putting both men and women at an increased cardiometabolic risk.
So I thought it said earlier that it was more common in women.
Well, I think they were talking, they might, well, wait a minute, it's talking about global. Well, I'm not really sure what the...
Oh, so the risk, women have a higher risk compared to men for the all-cause mortality and the cardiovascular mortality.
The next sentence, I think, starts to go into what.
Yeah. So I guess the women are a higher risk for complications from it, but not necessarily at higher risk of having it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so let's see here. However, women have several unique sex-related predisposing factors. For example, pregnancy, gestational diabetes, use of oral contraceptives, and polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Me.
Now, I can almost... predisposing factors, because, see, I thought that... I was under the impression that insulin resistance causes PCOS, like it's a part of.
There's a big connection. Yeah.
I've heard, I don't think it causes it. I think it can lead to it, because there are a lot of very young girls that are very metabolically healthy that develop PCOS. There's like one kind that's linked more, and I'm not the expert in PCOS, but I've just been hearing about this lately. I was listening to some like health topics online, but basically they were talking about how, and I had always thought that insulin resistance caused that, but I think it's just heavily linked.
I think it is.
Like there's one kind of PCOS that like that's not necessarily, but I think even they can develop insulin resistance later. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know that when I was in my, I think late 20s is when they started giving metformin for PCOS. And so they gave me the metformin, and it did nothing for me. So, but it was really successful with other women. So I that was a long time ago. So I don't know what they've learned since then about it. But yeah, it's up there. It isn't the same for everybody.
Look what Mike wrote.
Isn't
Yes, Mike. That's exactly what it is.
You are awesome.
See, what Mike says is like usually what my mind is thinking, but then I'm just like, no, keep that to yourself. Because I always think little things like that too. But Mike just goes ahead and says it for all of us.
And it's funny.
He's hilarious.
I know. Yes, that's exactly what it's talking about.
Yes, you are on it. Well, because I've heard like Dr. Bickman and who is the other? Just Dr. Bickman. I know I've heard him talk about it. And where maybe it's the high insulin, which having high insulin doesn't necessarily mean you have insulin resistance. yet. You know what I'm saying? Like it leads to it eventually.
So Josh says, Ben Bitcoin says PCOS is insulin resistance of the ovaries. So interesting.
So so when you look it up here, let's see here. It's linked is what I'm seeing in most of these reputable sources here. Yeah, but
I guess it's, I mean, which comes first? Does the insulin resistance come first, or does so like with PCOS, when they diagnosed me, they looked at my blood work, they looked at the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, and they were flip-flopped as far as the amounts I was supposed to have, so I would develop the egg inside the ovary. So that's the follicle stimulating hormone, but the luteinizing hormone was too low, so it wouldn't release. So it would just keep growing and form cysts.
I think I found something.
Okay.
So this says, while most individuals with PCOS experience insulin resistance, it's not a universal feature. Some women with PCOS may have normal insulin sensitivity despite meeting the diagnostic criteria for the condition. This can include women with certain phenotypes of PCOS, such as those with adrenal PCOS or hypothalamic amenorrhea. So it says it's insulin resistance is common but not universal.
So what is hypothalamic amenorrhea?
Well, we're gonna have to look that up because I don't know.
Well, I figured
amenorrhea would be where you don't have periods,
no
right?
menstrual cycle. Yeah.
Okay. So it'd probably be where you have problems
probably
with
that it's the issue, the originating problem is in the hypothalamus.
Okay, so let's see here. It says that thing is a condition where menstruation stops due to a problem in the brain's hypothalamus, which regulates hormones involved in the menstrual cycle. This condition is often caused by stress, excessive exercise, disordered eating, and is characterized. So probably it is characterized by lack of menstruation, low estrogen, and potentially other symptoms like mood changes. So I think we've all known those girls too, the ones that exercise themselves and eat themselves, out of a period, basically.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, with me, I did develop insulin resistance as time went on, and but back when I was actually trying to, the doctors were trying to treat my PCOS, I did not respond at all to the metformin. So I'm guessing that was not the problem with me back then.
I'll bet it was the insulin though. Like you're not resistance yet, but the high insulin, I think, is what I've heard Dr. Bickman.
Yeah.
But you can test for that. So like
nobody would talk about that back then.
But I mean, they can still test your insulin level, and they're like insulin resistance is a definable thing and a testable thing. It's not just
Yeah. I know I developed it because I ended up pre-diabetic within the last 4 years or so was when I finally tested in the pre-diabetic range.
But would you have?
I'm sure I was in.
I mean, most of us do develop it as we get. Would you have developed it anyway? Like, was it totally unrelated, or was?
I probably would have because my diet was
hard to say.
Yeah. Interesting.
I had a hard time grasping it though because I had listened to so much like Ben Bickman and other people who do link that. I had a hard time grasping that it could be that could cause I don't know. But who knows? I'm not a biochemist. So
it's a very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot to think about, and I might have to go back and watch some of Ben Bickman's videos because he goes into detail about it several times. I've seen like in his metabolic classroom series, he's talked about it, and he explains it in ways that you can understand.
I would like to ask him, is he just referring to the kind that is caused by that, though? Or does he recognize that there are some, like the 2 that I read off, that aren't caused by that? Or does he not believe that's the case?
Or maybe those aren't really, I mean, I guess they could sort of be PCOS, but then the hypothalamic one, for example, sounds to me like it's a different thing than the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it was basically like a different.
Yeah, it's kind of like type 2 diabetes being different from type 1, but they still call them both diabetes, but they're really different.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what the PCOS to me, the hypothalamic amenorrhea.
Well, it
seems to be a different thing than.
Yes, I did not have amenorrhea. I mean, I had.
No, I didn't either. And I never was diagnosed with PCOS, but I think I had it, even though I was very, tall and slim and stuff. But like from the time I was 13, man, it was terrible, painful, and a lot of it.
A lot. Yes. And I know at one point I had a period that lasted 11 months.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it wasn't super heavy the whole time, but it got heavy and I ended up in the ER towards the end there. And that was before I got diagnosed with PCOS. And it was absolutely insane. I was like, it was driving me insane. So it's definitely amenorrhea would have been a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So in addition, breast cancer may be modestly associated with metabolic syndrome in postmenopausal women. There are also some studies that have found associations in sex hormones as independent risk factors of and metabolic syndrome. Low testosterone and low, what is it? SHB, what is it? Something blood glucose. What is that? Low testosterone and low SHBG.
Forget.
What is that acronym? It's something.
Do we need to engage ChatGPT?
What is it?
SHBG. It's something blood
sex
glucose.
Hormone binding globulin.
Oh, yeah. I was totally off. Sex hormone
binding globulin.
Which makes sense because it's talking about testosterone.
Okay. Low testosterone and low sex hormone binding globulin have both been found to be independent risk factors associated with metabolic syndrome. However, obesity and insulin are associated with low SHBG. Low SHBG concentrations may be used as a marker to predict metabolic diseases and has a twofold increase in cardiovascular system disease.
See, just like in women, like with men, it's like what comes first? Is it the low hormones or is it the insulin resistance? And it sounds like they're saying that it's the obesity and the insulin that comes first and throws off the other hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard that as you fix your the testosterone goes up.
Well, I mean, but when you go into menopause, I mean, your hormones are going to get lower.
Yep.
And then that can definitely lead to insulin resistance. It does. That's after women, they say that women are like Superman basically before they hit menopause as far as like their cardiovascular risk. And then once they hit menopause, they're kind of like on par with men at that point if they don't replace hormones.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe says it sounds like it's all caused by bad food we eat that screws up all kinds of hormones. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I would say that's
yeah. So it is important to note that the original criteria for diagnosis of metabolic syndrome was developed from Caucasian majority research groups. As such, there has been an argument around the modification of diagnostic criteria for specific ethnic groups. For example, a body mass index of over 23 may suggest insulin resistance in the Japanese population. We were talking about that. In the United States, data from 2002 showed the highest prevalence of metabolic syndrome to be in Mexican Americans. And African Americans, particularly African American women, have a higher prevalence of metabolic syndrome. However, this may not be truly representative of metabolic risk in these populations.
Oh my God, a BMI above 23? What?
For Japanese, that might be because they're little bitty people. Yeah, I mean, you know, they're just, their body type is just very small. You know, small boned in general.
Yeah.
Just really small people.
I don't have a chart in front of me, but I'm thinking 23 is like.
Okay, let's just see what mine was yesterday when I weighed in. 33 was mine yesterday when I weighed in. So
mine's like 31.
I got a lot of weight. So I'm supposed to be under 25 to be considered normal.
I think once I hit 30, it goes into it's either 30 or just under 30 where I cross from, obese to just overweight. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, come on. I've got 8 pounds that I put back off since I talked to you guys last.
So you've lost
8 pounds.
Oh,
was
that
what?
Was that from being sick?
No, not really. I mean, maybe 3 of it, but that was probably just temporary.
So that's good. It was
I've been very diligently, monitoring my food. I've been tracking, and it's been very eye-opening, this tracking I've been doing.
Wow.
Very eye-opening. I think I was greatly overeating before, especially like things like mayonnaise and stuff. I just thought, I can just have as much mayonnaise as I want,
Oh, condiments and stuff. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
It is so easy.
There's a reason Dr. Berry says that he eats mustard on just about everything. And I love mustard.
Yeah.
Mustard is kind of one of those, like, just, it's not really going to harm. It's not going to add a lot to
mustard and hot sauce. Like for my sardines, put all that hot sauce on there.
But I mean, I love mayonnaise on everything, really. But
maybe
just not tracking, just not tracking. It's so eye opening. And I couldn't even get myself to track. I was just like, I'm not doing that, And then I talked to my doctor, and she, told me. She said, I want you to just download this app. And she said, she gave me an app to download, and I love it. And I track everything. I track my water, I track everything. And in a month, I've lost 8 pounds. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So first ingredient in mayo is soybean oil. I hope you get.
Well, it depends on which mayo you're getting, Mike.
The Primal Kitchen one is avocado oil.
Avocado oil.
Yep, and you can get that at Costco. I found. Yeah. My daughter has a membership, so now I get to go to BJ's and Costco because she's got membership.
It's just like they say, like, Amy, even if you're doing carnivore, calories do still count. Like, we're not some kind of magic beings that can suddenly eat 3,000 calories. No, we're not, bomb calorimeters or whatever they call them, but it still counts. Like, I think Dr. Berry always said, we don't count calories, but calories still count. So if you just track for just a little while, just to get that baseline and just to kind of get an idea of what am I really even consuming? Is it too little? Is it too much? I had no idea.
Yeah. And I've been doing Coach Lisa's program, and she's all about keeping your body guessing, switching things up all the time. So she has got us. Sometimes, like this week, we're on a low fat week. It is hard. Like we were on a high fat week. Yeah, we had a really like an 80% fat week the other week, and then now it's like a 20% fat. And I'm like, I don't want to eat this stuff.
But see, I think that's right, Lynn. I think she's right
she is.
On that, because this is like the natural conclusion that I've come to in my head after like all the books we've read, everything I've ever listened to on YouTube, just anything, like all the cumulative knowledge. And it goes back to like what Jason Fung would say, you know, your body is smart. Like if you raise or if you lower your calories, your body's just going to lower eventually, not right away, which is why you will lose weight, but your body will eventually come down to meet that, right? With your metabolism. So then, and if you raise your calories, same thing, right? But keeping it guessing like that kind of keeps it to where your body's not going to come down to that point, and you can drop those calories or raise or lower your fat. You know, fat is energy, and we only need so much energy.
Yeah.
It's just like when we were on sugar, you know.
My body.
Well, I say we were. I'm still on it, but not sugar, but you know what I mean. If you're burning sugar or you're burning fat, it's still energy, and energy is still, you know, it needs to be burned, you know.
Right.
You can't just have limitless amounts, right?
Yeah. So Amy says, what about using avocado mashed up as the mayo?
I love avocado.
I don't like avocado. I like avocado oil. I don't like avocado.
Really? Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh. Like if I go to Mexican once in a while, like, well, my brother and my dad and we go to this one particular Mexican restaurant, and they make me steak and eggs. They know how to fix it to where it doesn't have, you know, I don't get the rice, but they already know what my order is. And my brother orders the same thing. And I will, on occasion, once in a while, get just a bowl of guacamole to go along with it.
I don't like guacamole. I've tried. Everybody raves about it. So I'm like, yeah, I want to like it. I'll even buy those from time to time, I'll even buy those little cups of guac or, you know, whatever. But I just don't like it. Yeah. Like, I just don't like it.
But you know about the energy. I was just thinking.
Wait,
sorry.
Like, what you gonna listen to?
What I was going to say about, you were making a good point, both of you, about the body reacting to different things that you eat, because like ancestrally speaking, we wouldn't have consistently eaten the same thing, like constantly high fat all the time. So I was just kind of processing that in my head. So like every now and then you would have, like, say all you could get that week was rabbits. Well, rabbits don't have that much fat, you know, but you would eat the rabbits because it's better than starving. But then maybe at some other point they would catch something that had more fat on it. So you would have more fat, and it was just, so you didn't eat exactly the same thing all the time. Yeah. So that would make sense ancestrally.
Yeah, the wild game tends to be lean.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they would get things like buffalo and stuff like that had a lot of fat. You know, they would make up for it.
I thought buffalo was lean.
I don't think it's as lean. I think it's leaner than cows.
Lean.
But I think it's
whenever I did that Advocare diet like years ago, I was allowed to eat buffalo, and I had never had it before.
And some of the pork, like some of the wild hogs and stuff, they would have a lot of that fat too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was a thing that they would go through called, like, if they had too much just like lean meat, it was called rabbit starvation. Mm-hmm. And they would really starve to death because even though they were eating the protein, they just weren't getting that fat and they needed it. So but it's not saying that you ate fat all the time. You certainly ate it when you could get it, but you didn't eat it. And it wasn't consistently available.
And I think, like, if you are doing like a very strict carnivore, and, you know, maybe not even doing keto, but just very strict carnivore, I feel like you can get away with a lot more high fat when you're doing that. Mm-hmm. But like, even when you're doing keto, when you're putting any amount of sugar, you know, something that breaks down to sugar into your diet at all, I think that's when the calories that might be a dumb statement. I don't know, guys, but I just feel like I know I've seen lots of people who were doing very strict carnivore, high fat, and they were having tons of calories, right? You would think that they would just gain a ton of weight, right? But they didn't. So I've seen that, and I can't explain that. But maybe it's just because they are just purely running on fat and no carbs at all. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good that you've lost the 8 pounds. So I think valuing that. So doing some tracking is really good.
And I'm trying to stay, like under like 1,500 calories.
Mm-hmm.
So
I struggle. Like I have a problem with under eating. And so I struggle to get 1,200 calories unless I have
under eating too.
Unless I have high fat. If I have high fat, it's a lot easier. So like this week, I am really struggling because of the low fat. And it's like I was trying to eat. I got this top round, which is really lean, just to try to have the lean meat.
I don't like just the meat like that without the fat. The fat's the good part.
I know, right?
I was starting to get nauseated trying to eat it. And I told Coach Lisa, and she just laughed. She goes, well, you're learning that your body needs the fat. It's like, yes, it does. So, yeah. So, okay. So Amy says, this is the second time in an hour I've heard about rabbits not having fat. Weird. Maybe it is a sign not to eat rabbit. Yes, I would not dream. And I have little cottontails in my backyard, so I will not hunt them.
My dad used to go rabbit hunting when I was a little girl.
Oh yeah, and Amy doesn't get 500 calories. I know. It's when you have gastric surgery, it's hard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Just not that hungry. Yeah, it's hard when you're not hungry.
If you undereat, though, you won't lose weight.
It's right. So I have to force myself to try to eat the amount of calories that I need. And there's days where I can just eat what I feel like eating, but there's other days where I have to make sure I get the calories because.
And I mean, I know not everybody is just like focused on losing weight, but I am.
I am too. Like I want to get like, there.
And it's not even for shallow reasons. Like at this point in my life, I'll be 50 next month. I'm not like trying to look hot on the beach or anything.
Right.
I just want to be able to be healthy and chase my grandkids when I have them one day,
Exactly. That's me. I want to be that fun grandma or great grandma that, everybody thinks is so kooky and eccentric. She just gets out and does stuff. And they're like, how does she do it?
Has the KISS posters on her wall.
Yep, exactly. Those concerts. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, where are we at? Are we going to wrap it up for today? Because it's been an hour and just pick up. We did a lot of chatting, but it's okay because it's been a long time.
Well, we're kind of at a stopping point because we're at the on 3.3.2 now with this physiology. So it is a good stopping point. Do you want to read them,
or do you want to give your voice another week of a rest?
I mean, I don't really care. Where are we at? I don't even know where we're at.
We're on page 17, pathophysiology.
Okay. Let me see. How big of a section? I mean, that kind of goes into a whole other section.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just stop there.
Okay. All right. We will pick up next week.
Let's read a few comments, though. So Amy said, pull up Amy's comment there.
Let's see which one.
I'm still losing.
Okay.
I'm losing still, though. The whole idea of Ruin Wise to eat less so you will lose weight. You do lose weight if you don't eat much, but you're also not healthy with that type of weight loss. So the thing is, and the thing since I've been tracking and my doctor's really been focusing on make sure you get enough protein because which if you're just eating meat, you're probably getting your protein in. So it may be a little bit different. I don't know. But with me eating just a variety, like I'm not keto right now. So I'm just eating a variety of things and trying to focus on eating meat as my protein. But anyway, so basically they say if you don't get enough calories to maintain your basal metabolic rate, that you are going to lose muscle, that your weight loss will come from muscle. So,
yeah.
I mean,
and I know
it'll
that
get into your muscle more.
she shared her metrics with me, and I know she's actually has been gaining some muscle. So I think she's doing a really good job of getting considering.
And they don't factor in carnivores when they talk about this stuff either. So it's hard to translate it, from just normal, I don't want to say standard American diet because that's not what I'm eating, but like a healthier, version. But yeah, I mean, but still, I feel like you need more calories than that. I know it's hard though when you're not hungry and you feel like you don't have the space to eat it. You have to eat so many little meals that
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know she's doing her best and has had to keep cheese in her diet because that's the way to get the fat for her.
She has what? I'm sorry.
She's had to keep cheese in her diet.
Oh,
yeah. So she's getting fat and, coupling it with protein and helping to get the fat in there.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge when you've had those surgeries.
I mean, I think if you can incorporate dairy, I think it's great. I think it's a great source of protein.
I wish I could incorporate
calcium there. For a lot of people, I feel like dairy can be a very healthy part of their diet. It doesn't agree with me as much as I would like for it to, but
I gain weight when I do dairy.
Some people do.
I wish I could do dairy. I love dairy. All right. So Susan says, I've gained 16 pounds back. I've managed to lose 8, have a hard time eating enough. I have upped my exercise. Yeah, I'm same way. Hard time eating enough. So, but congratulations on losing.
Yeah. Congrats, Susan.
That's really good.
Yep.
So Cosmic Jester, I love the name. Whenever I want to lose weight, I just fast. I've gone up to 2 weeks. Wow, that's quite a fast. When I had, when we were doing in March, when we were doing the fasting with Coach Lisa, I lost weight. Then with traveling and not fasting, I've gained a little bit of it back. So it's just a few pounds here.
And you hear so many mixed messages. Like you hear like, oh yeah, you have to at least eat enough to where you're hitting your basal metabolic rate, right? But then there's people who fast for a whole year. So there's so much just conflicting information, even from good sources,
Yeah. Well, that's why I think everyone just needs to figure out what's going to work for them.
Yeah.
So to minimize muscle loss, you have to exercise, stretch thoroughly while fasting. Yeah. I need to, the exercise is the biggest thing that I struggle with is because just all the years of being sedentary. So I have been definitely working on getting more exercise. And
so they say that, I mean, even, sorry, I read Amy's comment and now I'm like, I think I just lost my, I'm like trying to read 2 comments. No, I was reading his, I was going to respond to his and then I read Amy's out of the corner of my eye.
Okay, go back to this one.
So they say that anytime you're losing weight, you're going to lose some weight from muscle. Like it's just almost unavoidable. But the more protein you get in, the less will come from muscle. But you still lose some from muscle. It's just almost inevitable.
And Coach Lisa has told me that with the amount of muscle that I actually have, I can very much afford to lose, and I probably should lose some. And because I actually have a lot of muscle. And so she said, for me, I can afford to lose muscle because otherwise my percentage of body weight, like if she thinks that I she thinks that I will probably eventually get to be, now I hope she's right, around maybe 160 pounds or so, which for me is pretty thin, 5'8", and my stature.
Oh, yeah.
But right now I'm 155 pounds of muscle. So I'm going to have to lose muscle because that leaves me 5 pounds for organs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Water, right? So there's no way I can continue to have 155 pounds of muscle and get to be, composition wise less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and then, let's see.
So I'm trying hard to get in protein and fat and meat. So it's going okay. But when I was not carnivore and not eating, I lost, but it was not healthy at all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
weight loss.
When you start adding the carbs in, see, that's the reason why I'm still going meat heavy, even on my, just regular diet or whatever. Because when you start adding the carbs in and then you start tracking and you're like, holy crap, I haven't had enough protein today. It's almost impossible to get on because my doctor wants me to get 100 grams of protein a day. I'm like, that's damn near carnivore. So gosh, what else am I supposed to eat?
Yeah,
it's crazy. And
so how much have you been getting?
80.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. 80, because unless I'm just eating meat, I'm not getting, or unless I'm cramming those shakes down and stuff, which I don't like to do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather get my protein from the source,
The actual meat. Yeah. Ellen says I had to take Chico outside, so I think I missed what we're putting avocado into. Is it
not
mayo?
me? I'm not putting it in anything.
Yeah. So Kim was mentioning that she struggles with eating too much mayo.
Well, I did. I've cut it out, and
yeah.
like I said, I've lost 8 pounds, so maybe it's just the mayo.
I don't know.
I
So
don't know.
Coach Lisa was suggesting in our Zoom call today to take 12 egg yolks and a stick of butter. Obviously, you got to melt the butter, but mix it up, the melted butter with the 12 egg yolks, and obviously cooked egg yolks, and then add some mustard and obviously maybe salt, pepper, and put it back. And that's what you do for your deviled eggs instead of mayo, is to use the butter. That sounds actually really good. Let's see. So Amy says, I don't eat tons of cheese. That's right. She does sour cream, cottage cheese.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of cottage cheese.
Whipped cream.
I love cottage cheese.
I love cottage cheese.
I like to eat, what my favorite, this is like a treat for me. And it sounds so stupid, but I love to eat ribeye with cottage cheese on top. And it's just
I bet that's good.
Protein. It's so good. Oh my God.
My husband puts these blue cheese crumbles on his steak. He loves
that
blue
sounds
cheese.
Good.
So Susan, I fasted 72 hours a couple weeks ago. Awesome. I did too. Mm-hmm. That's when I lost some weight. My basal metabolic rate is low. Maybe that's why. Okay. So hopefully as you get more mobile, I know that Amy's hopefully going to get that hole in her heart repaired.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So hopefully that will give you the ability to exercise more and get that basal metabolic rate up.
Yeah. And, like we were saying before, this is a totally different situation. So, the surgery that she's had, it's totally changed the way her body is processing things. So, for her, that might be puppies. Hush, hush, hush. Anyway, my dogs are going to bark now.
Yeah. It changes. So she's got to adjust accordingly to what she can do. So Susan, I use a walking app, then do 10-minute blocks on my vibration plate. Awesome. I think Coach Lisa is going to do so she came on with Lindy and I, because we do our workouts, and she came on with us and did a chair workout with us. And then Lindy's been really busy. I was traveling and Lindy's been busy, but she's going to come back, and I think she's going to do a workout with us where you use your vibration plate. So keep an eye out for that, because I think it's another chair workout, but your feet are on the vibration plate.
Did I tell you guys I got one?
No.
Yeah, I got one of the kind that Bill Knott has. What's it called?
Really? Do you like it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't use it enough, but I just ordered one of these little twisting things off TikTok shop.
Okay.
It's like this thing you stand on and it twists like this.
Yeah.
And like you just move your body like this. And you can do weights and stuff. And it's really good for because I want to exercise my core.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it'll help. But, if I actually use it, it might.
Stretching. When worried too much about exercise, I just do deep squats and stretching. Stretching is a big thing for me because I am not very flexible.
I've been doing the squats lately, and I'm telling you, woo-wee.
Yeah.
So this is the comment that I wanted to talk about. So Dr. Bright, love Dr. Bright, absolutely love Dr. Bright, but there's several things that Dr. Bright says that I do not agree with. And one of which is about the hormone replacement. And a lot of other doctors will recommend women replacing hormones because of the cardiovascular benefits and just lots of other benefits to it. But it's been night and day different for me since I started on my hormone replacement with my estrogen, progesterone. So, I love Dr. Bright, don't agree with her on that. And, as far as the fasting thing, I don't know.
Does she recommend natural hormone replacement or just none at all?
She thinks when you just eat meat, and from what I gather, I might be misquoting. I don't want to say what Dr. Bright recommends, but to my understanding, everything I've heard her say was basically you just eat meat and everything should work out. And that wasn't my experience at all. So.
Yeah, I think what I've heard from her is that she really focuses on the fat. And
yeah, definitely. She says the higher fat.
Up your fat, then your hormones will
regulate she's an expert. I mean, that may be the case, but it just I'm not going to agree with every expert on everything they say. And
true.
And you have to make your own health decisions. And I think that that's what we are always saying, that everyone needs to make their own health decisions on what they can do. And I mean, if you're miserable and you need something to help you feel better and you've decided to do it, then that's what you're going to do.
And when your estrogen is low, it increases your inflammation, which increases your joint pain and increases your chance for autoimmune diseases. It's so many things that that little bit of estrogen, and it's not like I'm put back up at 16-year-old levels, it's just a drop in the bucket, just enough to
help you feel better.
Yeah.
I haven't needed any hormone replacement therapy, and I think that I'm going to try to keep my hormones regulated with diet as long as I can. So, but we're going to see, time will tell, right? Let's see. Sammy says, I've gained 13 to 14 pounds of muscle in a year and 6.6 pounds of bone. That's a lot of bone. I starved myself a long time and lost a lot of muscle to the point I couldn't function. So, carnivore will build muscle and bone. So, can't your body only use about 30 grams of protein a day? The RNY doc says 100 grams a day, but your body doesn't know what to do with the protein. That I don't know. I haven't heard that.
I don't either.
So I've heard that. I know what she's talking about. I've heard that, but it's kind of one of those things where battle of the experts kind of thing. What I want is these experts to get on YouTube and debate each other so I can decide which one's right.
Right. Exactly. Let's see. When I do a slow roasted meat, I like to add some sour cream because it makes the juice tastier. Yeah. Kind of like
good.
Yeah. Kind of like the I remember I used to make Swedish meatballs. You know how it has that cream sauce? Yeah. Let's see. Everything about me turns out to be a totally different situation, even the way I think. Dr. Berry always says, now Amy is weird, so my answer to her does not apply to anyone else.
That's great.
Well, I say that I disagree with the experts, but there's not very many things that man has said over the years. And I have listened to him for about gosh, probably 8 years now. And I mean, I listen and I like try to catch him saying something that I don't agree with. And I cannot do it. I cannot do it. Very, very few things that he's ever said.
I really can't think of anything that I've disagreed with him on.
Yeah. I mean, he
can't.
He is like a rock.
Yeah. And he's very consistent. I mean, you can't throw him off either.
Yeah. Because I wanted to, when I first started keto, I wanted to like really figure it out and think, and I'm just suspicious. I'm a naturally suspicious person. So I was like, what are his motivations, you know, and why is he, you know, why is he telling me? And that man's like a rock. I'm telling y'all right now.
Yeah. Okay. So Susan, I just had my blood work done and my doctor wants me back on. I'm assuming that it's statins. 353 total, HDL 77. Those HDL and triglycerides. Okay, so let's do the numbers here. So triglycerides 117, HDL 77. So 1.52 basically is your HDL to triglyceride to HDL ratio. And so ideal is under 1.5, right? Or ideal is under 1, but good is under 1.5. So you're right there. So,
and I don't know that a statin would do anything for the HDL trig ratio anyway.
No. And the statins basically the only LDL that they really reduce is the big fluffy particles that have no cardiovascular risk. They don't really touch the dense particles. And if you're carnivore, your LDL is probably mostly the big fluffy particles. I would say get the breakdown. Find out what the quality of your LDL is. See if the doctor will run a test. My doctor ran one for me, and I've got the big fluffy particles. So after that, he stopped worrying.
I'm, not giving any medical advice to you, but I know a statin's out for me. I will never take
I don't care what my cholesterol gets up to.
I would change my diet. If I really thought there was danger, I would change my diet before I would take a statin.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean,
like what's his name says you can eat how many Oreos before
just eat
the Oreos.
Yeah. They have side effects. They can make you diabetic. They can,
and your liver.
I've tried every statin I think there was at the time just to make my doctor happy years ago before I ever started this diet, because I've had high cholesterol since I was in my 20s. And it made my legs hurt so bad, like almost instantly, that like my muscles would hurt so bad that I work on a big college campus. So, I mean, I walk like a lot. And by the time I would get into my work, I would just have to stop because it hurt so bad. And that's a no for me,
Yeah. So Susan says 18 months ago was 860. So there you go. Let's see. I'm not going to pick up every comment. Let's see what we got here, because we probably should, wrap it up. Working with a friend and less concerned about his cholesterol overall, more whether his CAC score goes up. Yes, exactly. If your next CAC score is going down and stay relatively the same, then you're on the right track. Yep, exactly.
And I can tell you that eating this way does not cause, it's not causatory. Now, there can be a correlation somewhere, maybe with cholesterol, possibly, but my CAC score is a big fat goose egg. 0.
Yeah, I would get my CAC. Did Susan say whether she had her?
No.
I don't think she has. Has she? Did she say?
I'm going to do one through. Oh, no, that's not the same thing. Let's see. Dr. Berry said it should come down. I'm taking 10,800 FU of nattokinase with K2 and a baby aspirin. Norwegian study says it clears plaques by 50 to 86% in 12 months. Nice.
Really?
Okay. If you have that, study, could you post it as a comment in one of our channels so that we can I'd love to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So she says, I'm going to do one through Own My Labs, not getting back on statins. Good.
Yes, my mother lost her memory. She couldn't remember how to check her freaking blood sugar.
Remember we were reading about how people were like having Alzheimer's symptoms and then they got off the statin and it was symptoms were reversed.
Okay, so her CAC score was 860. Last blood work was 178. So is that your CAC?
I think she was saying that her last blood work
scan, right? Oh, the last blood work was 178 as far as the cholesterol.
The cholesterol, I think, and her CAC was 860. Okay.
Okay. Statins. I advise for anybody to go full line diet before thinking of going on a statin. Yeah, muscle loss and depression are major. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, it's to me, a statin to my body is poison. I mean, like I said, I'm not giving anybody medical advice. That's up to you.
I would definitely just read up on it. I mean, be well informed about what you're taking.
Yeah, and honestly, with a good triglyceride to HDL ratio,
there's not enough studies that prove to me that statins are
well for women. They're not. There's no study that shows that they're good for women. None.
Wasn't the main statin study out there showed that it could extend your life by 3 days?
Yeah, that was what we were reading.
There's all these side effects.
Yeah. And then also I think that was primarily for people who had pre-existing heart disease.
Yes.
Yeah, Ellen said.
Oh yeah, I say I'm allergic, Amy.
On men.
Oh, sorry, I'm skipping ahead in the comments.
Yeah.
You can always say you're allergic, that you can't. Well,
you'll never have to address that again.
You don't even have to say that. Just decline it. You have a right as a patient to decline.
Whatever the harassment that you get every single time you go to the doctor is not worth it. I just put it down as an allergy.
If you've never been on it before, how can you say you're allergic to it?
They don't know you've never been on it.
So I guess if you want to tell them that, you can tell them that. I would just decline,
I politely declined for years. And then finally, when my CAC score was 0, when I finally took the test, now I don't get, it's not mentioned.
Well, my doctors have been backing off of it very heavily in the last few years. Like they've been looking at the HDL, what's that
ratio?
Yeah. They've been looking at that because my doctor even made note of it and said that even though your total cholesterol is high, it's not indicative of needing a statin.
That's really encouraging. So hopefully the doctors are starting to clue in. So Susan says there's a book called A Statin-Free Life. It's a British cardiologist from Oxford University. Very good read. Cool. I wonder, is that the cardiologist? Oh gosh, I forget his name. He was on the news a lot. At least I saw him on alternative news a lot. He's really good. If it's who I think it is. So statins starve the brain of the cholesterol. It needs to keep the brain from making it. So dementia.
I believe it.
Absolutely. Yes. Stupid autocorrect. Isn't that always okay? Let's see. There's also cholesterol that people that are very old not benefit from. Yes, exactly.
As a matter of fact, the people who live the longest
have higher.
At least one study, but probably more than that, are the ones that had the higher cholesterol in old age. Like it's past a certain age.
I remember the study said past 65 is when the benefit is really there. Let's see. So, hi, Lisa. How do you feel about high ferritin and iron? Yeah, so I mean, my ferritin is high as of the last time I had it checked. My iron is normal. So I'm not overly worried about it because I think that if anyone does have high ferritin, they definitely need to get their iron checked. But I mean, I don't know. I know I hear lots of people talk about the ferritin iron thing, and I'm kind of on the fence as to whether or not I even worry about it.
I know some people go donate blood on occasion to rectify that?
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you have chronically high ferritin, you can get it down by donating blood. I personally am more inclined to like wanting to get to the root cause.
Well, I would too.
Do you know if your
just
ferritin was high before carnivore? Because I never had any
No, so
high
it
iron
was
or high
not.
I would. I didn't either that I know of.
It was not, but the last time I had it checked before I was carnivore was also before my crazy mast cell activation syndrome flare that put me into retirement and on disability.
Mm.
So I'm guessing that when I had it tested before, when it was normal, between that time and when I tested it again where it was high, it was probably even higher right after I had the flare because I had a horrible infection and the massive, huge flare that just completely wiped me out. And I think that probably the high result that I got later, it was probably declining. And I have since got it tested again and it's trending down.
Oh.
So, I think it's definitely important if you do have a high level like tested and you test it, you see, have you had it tested before? What is and like I said, it was normal before, but what has happened between then and now?
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was low before and the only thing that has changed is your diet and you haven't had like an event, a health event, then maybe you need to look into it a little bit more. But that wasn't the case for me. But I'm monitoring it and I figure as long as it's coming down, it was probably high because of the big flare.
Yeah, I mean, inflammation alone can cause elevated ferritin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I watched my mom disappear over
And
to
obesity.
on a statin. Absolutely. So, okay. So I spoke with the research scientist today and she's very understanding of weight. I can't donate. I personally know that when you stop menstrual cycle, this could become an issue.
What I don't understand what she's saying on the previous comment.
Yeah, can you explain, Lisa? I spoke with this researcher today.
Oh, she's very underweight, maybe underweight and can't donate.
Underweight and can't donate. Okay.
Because I remember
Because she's
in high
underweight.
school, when I first started donating blood, I wasn't able to donate at first because I didn't weigh enough.
Okay,
My
yeah.
dad was O negative, and so I wanted to donate blood too. And they did blood drives at school, and when I first tried to donate, they wouldn't let me.
Okay, so she says, I believe exercise helps the liver to process. So exercise, that's the key, is get your exercise. As I say this, I need to do this. Let's see. Apparently, all my numbers are good. Vitamin D is up from 31 to 72. Very good. GFR dropped from 83 to 56. That can happen, but you've been carnivore for a while, so not sure about that one. And Amy says hemochromatosis. Ferritin went up on carnivore, but only a few points. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely need to test the iron if you have elevated ferritin and just make sure. Yeah. So she said 1,500 plus ferritin levels were always written off as inflammation, and now it has caused some damage to my body because no one wanted to check why it was so high. Yes, exactly. So don't just stop there. Make sure you get it checked. All right. My theory on ferritin and iron, that there is a good reason for it, and giving blood could make the body produce more. Our body is trying to keep us alive, not killing us. I think it's definitely important to figure out why.
Yeah.
And I think that giving the blood, if it's like dangerously high and you maybe need to give blood to get it down.
Yeah, like while you're still trying to work out what the problem is.
Exactly.
And if you have hemochromatosis, that's what they do.
Iron was okay. Ferritin is high. Yeah. So that makes, so you're not, if your iron is okay, then your liver is going to be in much better condition, because it's when the iron gets too high, it's that when you end up getting damage to your liver. And so that's a completely different situation. So, and it's important. It's definitely important to check that. And the iron from meat is a different type of iron than the iron you get from other vegetables. So it's a heme iron.
It's heme iron.
Which is different, and it is processed. It's more usable by the body. Not that it's 100%, but it is definitely more usable by the body than the iron from vegetables. Yeah. So Coach Lee says, yeah, they probably won't let her donate if she's tiny. So Amy says, I now have blood taken out, but it causes me to not be able to breathe. Right. Because she's got that shunting of her blood because of the hole. So the doctor helps me do it at different times. And I know she told me, so it helps and her pain and mind is clear. She told me that she coordinated with her doctor to not do a full phlebotomy all at one time, to break it up, because of it would make her short of breath. Yep.
Poor Amy.
I know. She's a trooper. Yes. So I have low iron, have had low iron with this condition always. You know what? You just need to have people studying you. There you go.
You're special, Amy.
Dr. Baker.
Hey,
I think Dr. Baker.
Special. We knew that.
Dr. Baker, I think, may want to have her participate in one of his studies, which would be really great. So if you're going to be an oddball, at least let people learn from you.
Right.
Yeah. So awesome. Well,
you know what? She has the best attitude. Like, I would have never known that she had all that going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
steady body. That's right. Donate your body to science while you're still alive. Yeah. But you know what? It'll definitely, it'll help other people who have your conditions to, to learn what can the carnivore diet do. And I know that it has absolutely helped her. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's a great tool for anybody. I would recommend it to anybody, as, if they're not going to make it a lifestyle, at least use it as a tool to eliminate what you're sensitive to. And,
Yeah. And Amy used to be in a wheelchair. She used to have to use a wheelchair. Yeah. And so she is now mobile, active. Carrie, you met her.
Yep. Her story is phenomenal.
She's up and around, and she's doing stuff. And so it's a testament to never give up on yourself.
Yeah.
So let's see. She says, I've learned so much lately. It helped me just to know the why instead of thinking it was my fault because of my weight. Correct.
Yeah. Everything's not about weight. We like to blame everything. We like to blame our obesity for everything, but it's not always the culprit, And
it's often a symptom.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the body's defense mechanism too, because the body will store fat to protect you.
It's your body's protective mechanism that some people are able to gain larger amounts of weight, and then some people, like Carrie has talked about in the past, how she probably doesn't have the ability to gain as much weight as we do, and so she'll probably become diabetic long before when
right, because you don't have that protection from having your body storing your fat, the subcutaneous fat.
But she's not going to.
You're not going to, because you're doing
not going to now.
God willing, anyway.
Oh, let's see. I have another lady that her functional medicine doctor says she cannot do carnivore, 0 red meat, or other meats.
My functional medicine doctor tried to, she didn't say no red meat, but she likes the others better. And it's just that standard medical dogma. They can't get it out of their heads.
The functional medicine doctors and the naturopaths are trained in plant-based nutrition.
Yeah.
So just because they're more open to alternative things doesn't mean they're necessarily more open to carnivore.
Yeah, right.
They will understand one day, I think.
What? Yeah. Yeah. My naturopathic doctor has opened, his eyes are now open to carnivore after watching me.
The key is that they are open-minded and
Yes.
willing to learn and willing to change their opinion. You should never be, science is ever changing. When you have better information, you change the current, the current science. You don't just stick with dogma.
And stick with that doctor and show that doctor that it is going to make you better, then maybe the doctor will question and go,
yeah,
maybe what I was taught was not correct. So that's what happened with my naturopathic doctor. It was like mind blowing. Like, okay, this doesn't make sense based on what we were taught, but he was always very supportive of me doing this.
What's wild is that my functional medicine doctor, I love this woman, by the way. Okay. And she just kind of like, carnivore, but she is the one that's telling me to get 100 grams, y'all, 100 grams of protein a day. Okay. Like literally, if I get 100 grams of protein, I mean, I'm telling you right now, unless I'm drinking protein shakes, which surely to goodness, she's not pushing those.
Right.
No.
Right.
It's going to involve a lot of meat.
So, yeah. My doctor says I can't do carnivore. Well, I should give him a call. Yes, you should. Absolutely. Yep. My doctors now are so excited about my progress, and they all understand that it's the sugar that has changed everything for me. I'm working on explaining that the meat is helping as much as the no sugar is. Yeah. They probably start out by going, well, it's what you've eliminated. But then it's like, but wait a minute, we're also getting really good bioavailable nutrients.
And if you don't have the ability, like Amy, who's had Roux-en-Y surgery, if you don't have the ability to, hold that much food and to consume that much food, wouldn't you want every morsel that goes in your body to be like very dense, nutritionally dense food?
Yeah.
I mean, what better than meat?
Yeah. Absolutely. And the results are obvious with her. So, I mean, because she was dislocating joints multiple times a day.
Oh, God.
She was breaking bones because she's got brittle bone disease.
That's that same illness that Michaela Peterson had, isn't it? The brittle bone disease.
Oh, does Michaela Peterson have that?
I think that's why she went lying, was because that was
she had rheumatoid arthritis.
She had RA for sure.
She broke up. I think, what was it? God, she broke like several bones, like just like as a teen, and she had a horrible time.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to get your protein from veggies.
No.
It would take so much.
Oh man. Or beans. God, you'd be so bloated. I would.
Oh, not the same. So Michaela Peterson must have something different. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I gotta go. We've been on for almost 2 hours, which is awesome because we had
I know.
And it's been great. So and we always say that we're going to be 100 before we finish this book.
That's all right.
We're done with this much, and we
Friends
got this
forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, osteogenesis imperfecta is the brittle bone disease. So
we might want to do like a marathon where we have like several days in a row of doing 1 hour.
Oh my goodness.
To knock some of it out. If your schedule ever gets freed
up. We are
up.
struggling with getting even 1 day a week where we can coordinate our schedules. But
it would be fun. It would be fun to do something like that.
Don't be sorry.
No, don't be sorry. This has been so fun. I've missed you guys so much.
Like we're never getting our degree. You're right. 5-year plan.
Yeah. 5-year plan.
Yeah. We'll be lucky.
Yeah.
We'll be lucky. Yeah. Seriously, this is how far we are into the book right there.
By the time we get finished with the book, I'll be back on keto and
I'll have forgotten the beginning of the book and I'll need to start over again. So, all right, you guys. Thanks so much for everyone being here and joining us and having such great conversation in the chat. And so we will see it. You guys we're okay for next week?
Yep, I'm good.
Awesome.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
At least there's something I'm not thinking about.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye.